My fellow Americans, tonight we must have a family meeting. I say family because that is what a nation is supposed to be. And in our American family, there is a deep and painful wound that has festered for centuries. We try not to speak of it, we pretend it isn't there. But it poisons our relations, it distorts our laws, and it prevents us from becoming the nation we were meant to be. Tonight, we must talk about race. In all our conversations, we have held up one guiding star: the moral algorithm. The simple, profound truth that our government and our society must serve the common good for the protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness of the people, and not for the profit, honor, or private interest of any one man, family, or class of men. For too long, we have added a silent, unspoken caveat to that principle: of a certain color. The idea of whiteness has a difficult but essential truth. White is not a biological reality, it is a social and legal invention. It was a club, created centuries ago with rules designed to determine who was in and who was out, who had power and who did not. The boundaries of this club have shifted over time. Irish, Italians, and others were once kept out, only to be admitted later when it served the interests of those in power. This fact does not erase the real-world advantages that have flowed from this invented category: access to land, to loans, to the benefit of the doubt from our justice system. This invented club, this whiteness, has been the original sin against our moral algorithm. It created a hierarchy of belonging that has haunted us ever since. Let us look at this honestly. We must first look to the indigenous peoples of this continent. They are not immigrants. They are the original inhabitants of this land, the first American family. Our relationship with them has been a story of broken treaties, stolen lands, and a deliberate attempt to erase their cultures. We have treated sovereign nations as wards of the state, and we have inflicted wounds that have passed down through generations. A renewed America must begin by honoring our promises. We must respect their sovereignty, protect their lands and waters, and ensure they have the resources and autonomy to build the future their own people choose, not one dictated to them by a government that has so often betrayed their trust. We must then look to the South, to the people of Hispanic heritage, many of whom did not cross a border to come to this country, but had the border cross them. Today, their descendants, along with new arrivals seeking the same safety and opportunity our own ancestors sought, are often treated as a threat, a problem to be solved rather than as fellow members of the American family. We see a crackdown on immigration that is often cruel and chaotic, separating families and punishing people who are simply doing the work that our economy demands. We must see this for what it is: a failure of our moral algorithm. And we must look to the legacy of slavery and its long shadow, Jim Crow. The deep, systemic inequalities that persist in our Black communities are not accidents. To heal these wounds, we must do more than simply wish for a colorblind future. We must actively dismantle the machinery that created these divisions. Our vision for a renewed America is the most powerful tool for racial reconciliation we have, because it addresses the economic and social injustices that have been so tightly bound to race. A universal basic income does more to close the racial wealth gap than any program yet conceived, because it provides a floor of economic security for all, allowing families who have been systematically held back to finally build savings, start businesses, and invest in their children's future. A land value tax that exempts a family's primary homestead, combined with fair housing laws, directly attacks the legacy of redlining and residential segregation, allowing wealth to be built in communities that have been historically drained of it. A restored system of justice that ends cash bail, funds public defenders, and sends healers instead of warriors to communities in crisis will begin to undo the horrific racial disparities in our prison system. And a new approach to education, focused on project-based learning and the whole child, can finally offer the same quality of cultivation to every student, regardless of the color of their skin or the zip code they live in. But most importantly, we must expand our very definition of we the people. The promise of the moral algorithm, the protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness of the people, does not end at a state line or a border checkpoint. In a decent and moral nation, these protections must extend to every single person standing on our soil. A person seeking asylum from violence is not a criminal. A worker picking the food that comes to our table is not an illegal. They are human beings, and our moral duty is to ensure their basic safety and protection. To do otherwise is to cheapen our own humanity. My fellow Americans, this is the hardest work of all. It requires us to look into our own hearts, to confront our own history, and to have conversations that are uncomfortable. But we cannot be the nation we are meant to be until we do. The American family is a diverse, sometimes contentious, but beautiful family. It is time we started acting like one. It is time we made the promise of we the people a reality for every single one of us.